First session. Okay, good. Well, the good news is that was the best session. This is a follow-up session. I'm kidding. But in interest to those of you that didn't make the first session, we're going to go through the first 10 questions really quickly and cover the highlights. And to start us off with, I'm going to introduce our lovely panelists. From closest to me, Hector Cisneros with Working the Web to Win, Sonia Gopinski with Motion Buzz, and Ms. Beth Minette, also known as Queen Elizabeth, from the Carpet Tree. So we've got a good mix of panelists, and feel free to ask questions as we go. And Hector, start us off on the first 10, if you don't mind.
I'm just going to run through them rather quickly. If you have a really pressing question, you can raise your hand, okay?
Oh, by the way, Hector has a post on his website that goes over all of this. Yeah,
so all the questions are on the blog. You can read them if you want to.
And the web address is what?
WorkingTheWebToWin.blogspot.com. I'll give it to my card.
WorkingTheWeb2Win.blogspot, BLOGSPOT.com.
Grab one of my cards and you can find it there. The first question is a pretty simple one. Why are social networks important? It's because it's the best way to convince people that you're trustworthy and all those other kinds of things. I mean, social nets are the ultimate branding tool, if you want to say that. I mean, they really help people understand who you are, what you are, but it also gives you a bi-directional way of communicating with people, where old media, like TV and radio and so on, is a unidirectional type of media. Does anybody have anything with that? If you didn't think it was important, you wouldn't be here, right? That's that one. The best way to grow your following. Best way to grow your following is follow other people. Be nice to other people. Give them useful stuff. There's a saying that goes, content is king. If you provide really high quality, useful, entertaining information, people will get used to it and they'll start following you. It's the best way to do it. Give them what they want and they will come, like they say.
Can I use an example?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many people know about Spring Park Coffee in Greenfield Springs?
I do.
Okay. So if you don't know about them, then you're not following on their Facebook page. They do a tremendous job on their Facebook page. Every morning, they take their little chalkboard easel that's outside on the sidewalk, and they put a name. Today's name is Lance. It is. I've already seen it this morning. It's one of the first things on the board. Okay. Lance gets a free cup of coffee today. I do not live in Green Cove. I live in the west side, but I want to know who the name of the day is. You see how they've already got me engaged? I'm not driving to Green Cove to get a free cup of coffee, but I still want to know.
Not changing your name yet.
No, they don't know how to spell that. I mean, they but I might would drive to Green Cove, but I'm not kidding you. Every morning I look to see who the name. They've already got me. They have. You see what I'm saying?
You really need to get a life. It's very engaging.
I think one of the best ways is to actually engage with your audience, find out what your customers need and want, and then respond with that. Create content that gives them what they want.
The key to it is not just giving them what they want also, but if you don't go out and actively follow people, actively ask them to follow you, they won't. If you don't ask, you don't get. I mean, that's really the bottom line of that, right out of the Bible. Number 3, what types of content should I be posting? Quality, curated content, and better than that, authoritative, curated content. So, curated means you say something about the content. So you're saying, this is a really great article, you ought to read it. That's a curation, okay? So you find useful stuff and you stick it out there. Authoritative content is stuff that you wrote. So an article you wrote, a short story, blog post of 400 words, or you could just have your own saying of the day, like the coffee. You guys have anything else on there?
Photos. People are very visual. Photos and videos. Posting.
That's an excellent point, because the reality is the number one looked at posts are always ones with videos. Number 2 is photos, then audio, and then text in that order. So,
A photo also could be a graphic with.
Could be an animation.
Yeah, I did one yesterday, and on this particular Facebook page, it's an animation or a graphic that I put a quote in, use Canva, and use that free tool to use that to make it. One like on that particular post, one share, but 129 people were reached, and there's only 21 people like my page. So give you an idea of reach.
That's a great tip. I'm sorry, Hector. That Canva.com, Canva.com is a really easy place to add some pizzazz to your photos. And it's super, super simple. Sorry, Hector.
Yeah, there are multiple ones out there. If you just do a search on graphics tools and things like that. But never underestimate the value of putting a picture with your post. It's an excellent point that she made, because again, people gravitate to the picture because they don't have to read it and understand it. They can emotionally understand it, and that brings engagement faster.
I have one more thing to add to that. Type of content, educational content. If you have a product or a service, you want people are interested in what you are selling or what you are producing. So providing answers to questions or frequently asked questions is always a good idea. And linking them back to your website. If you have a frequently asked questions page.
That reminds me, if everybody would please silence their cell phones.
Can I add something? Small little bit. That's something that Mike Simmons mentioned last week in the YouTube and the video webinar or seminar. Thank you. I need more coffee. Anyway, should have asked question. What should your customer have asked? Should have asked, along with your frequently asked questions.
You can ask her, when she talks about pictures, that here's something that we did that was really simple. You take a picture that you like that's sort of industry related to your business, you post it, and you ask her a question, you know, like, give us a caption for this picture. And then you can actually turn that into a contest, and then you can put some specific wording that you have to look on Facebook to see what they will allow you to say. You can say something like, the best caption will be put in a drawing, and there will be a random winner. They can win a free massage or whatever you're going to give away. You can turn that simple thing into a contest, and that produces a huge amount of engagement. We did that for a chiropractor in a 7-day time period, because we usually do these very short, because they're not using any kind of mechanism to track it. You have to manually track it. But they got 127 people involved in it, and the reach from that was probably 1,000. So, very simple thing with just a picture, and say, give me a caption name. And people would say something like, there was one that had a turkey with its neck all twisted up, and they said gobble gobble or something. But then they said, I really love you guys. Now what's important about that is you can capture that and use that testimonial over and over and over again. And not only on Facebook, you can use it on Twitter, Plus, and all the other places, Pinterest and so on. Pictures, you can't underestimate them.
There's one more thing.
So much for
This is supposed to be a quick run through, but also sharing information and posts from your peers and other people in your industry is super important. That's also a great way to grow your following. If you're following other people who are in your industry and your peers, share their information, comment, take a post that they have, and maybe add your spin to it and share that.
And also make sure that you give them credit. Number 4, what type of content gives the most interaction? We just handled that. Number 5, how often should I post to my social nets? There's a lot of controversial on this kind of stuff. My philosophy is you can post as much as the data allows you to. So if you're measuring what's going on, when you hit too many posts, you'll see a decrease in following. If you're posting not enough, you'll be down here below. We try and post a lot of information on a regular basis by posting our blog 7 times a day. We're up to almost 50,000 page views a month. So it's a pretty big number. But there's some caveats there. You just can't post any old thing. You have to post very useful stuff. So we're measuring just that, but we're posting more than 7 times a day, because we're also posting curated. This would be authoritative posts. We're also probably posting 3 or 4 curated posts a day. But everything we post, we try and make sure it's meticulously very high quality, or of a very high entertainment value, or a very high educational value. We don't post any frivolous stuff. You never see anything about toothpaste or toothbrushes or any of that kind of stuff, or meaningless stuff that's going on in the office. We very rarely ever post coupons or anything like that, although there have been many people who've been very successful with this one.
But don't let that frighten you. If you're just starting out, posting at least once a day is a good rule with them. It'll get you used to how you post. It'll help you figure out what type of posts work for you. If you just start with one post a day on Facebook and one tweet on Twitter, that's just a good way to start. The rules is no more than 4 on Facebook, and then no more than 12 to 14 on Twitter, and once a day on LinkedIn, and once a day on Google+. If you're just starting out, start slow, just to get used to it.
And there's a good reason for that, because if you don't have a lot of people following you, the timeline, your news feed moves relatively slow. So if you're posting a whole lot, you just see, it looks like you're screaming, post, 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 post. You know, somebody comes and lands on your page, they see all these posts and nothing else going on, it looks a little weird. But once you get to a nice size following, when you post, your post drifts very quickly. So that allows you to post more often. That make sense? Where were we? Beth, you have anything?
Yeah, I'm good.
How do you know what kind of content your clients like? You ask them. It's a real simple thing to do. I mean, you can ask them in a whole variety of ways. You can write them an email to them. You can ask them right on the social media. If you're measuring, you will see what they like. And I'll give you an example. We have a client that sells windows and doors. We post stuff about do-it-yourself and all that kind of stuff. I posted a thing about Bob Vila. Bob Vila always gets a maximum number of likes. So guess what? We post a lot of Bob Vila stuff. So by measuring what's being done, you can see what they like, but you don't have to hesitate to ask them. Tell me what they like. They tell you what they're doing.
Facebook has an insight tab where you can actually view how many people are clicking on your link and what types of sharing and what types of posts get the most engagement. And we have one client there in the produce industry, and photos get the highest engagement more than any other pre-photos. The insight is the way to go to analyze.
Tells you the time of day that most people are looking and all that. Gives you a whole bunch of very useful information.
Also the demographics, like how many.
Age, sex, all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
age range,
Number 7. How long should it take to manage your social media account? Depends on how many things you're managing, how many people you're managing, how often you're posting. If you're really good and you're just starting out, it shouldn't be more than an hour a day. You shouldn't get, if you're spending 2 or 3 hours, it's because you're involved in social media and you're reading all the stuff.
Yeah.
You mean Facebook has the alt button?
I remember when I first started doing it.
You don't have one, why should Facebook?
This is a common thing you'll hear people say. I started looking at my Facebook at 10 o'clock, and before I looked up, it was 3. That kind of thing. And that's because you're engaged in it. That's how powerful it is. But you have to be disciplined yourself and put the timer on. An hour goes by, and the ding, you stop, go do something else. So discipline is very important. Using a calendar to pick your time and days, calendar it out. If you don't want to be doing it at 3 o'clock in the morning, do it at 10 o'clock in the morning. Have the dinger go off at 11. You'll probably be okay.
I'm starting a support group if anybody's interested.
Yes, sir.
Quick, is there a better time of day to read on Facebook?
Look at your analytics, look at your insights, and it'll tell you what times of the day more people are engaging and clicking and looking.
It's usually not what you think it is, and I'll give you an example. For the longest time, we never posted late at night. And then I started looking at the analytics, and I said, you know, there's this big gap area here that we're not even looking at. How can you measure something if you're not actively engaged in that time period? So we did a 2-week experiment and started posting something at 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Lo and behold, we got 400 readers at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 5 o'clock. So guess what? Now we post at 1 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, and 5 o'clock every day.
It also depends on your demographic. If your demographic is stay-at-home moms, they're not going to be looking at 7:30 at night. They're putting their kids to bed. So it depends.
And it also, if you have a smaller sample, it doesn't always translate. In other words, if you have 100 followers and you're trying to do this measurement that measurement not maybe really giving you a good gauge for your industry. It'll just be giving you a good gauge for your 100 people. That makes sense?
And you can test it out, try different posts at different times of the day to see which one is the best engagement.
I used to think that because my store was not open on Sunday, that I couldn't post on Facebook on Sunday because I'm not open and nobody's gonna read it, but that's not, people look on Sunday, I mean, they're home, they're hanging out and they're on Facebook.
A lot of times we didn't post on Sunday night. People read they have their phones everywhere and they're just doing this stuff, so.
Back to how long it should take you to manage your site or your social media account, I'd say do what your schedule allows. And like what you said, it can suck you in, but if you're spending 3-4 hours on it, you're probably just surfing, and you're probably on your own Facebook. Yes. Yes. Schedule an hour a week to sit down, like what Hector said, set the timer for an hour every Tuesday or every Wednesday. Just schedule a couple of posts, one for every day, and then when your timer goes off, you're done.
Someone gave me a great tip one time because as we all know in this room how easily it is to get absorbed as soon as you get on there. It's like, oh, and they're doing this and this, checking this. They said when you first turn on your social media, to make sure that you do your post first, then you go into everybody else's. Because otherwise we get lost and we forget to even do our post by the time we drink out everyone else.
Great
That was
tip.
just a good tip that they
Great
gave.
tip.
If you're ADHD like me, it's very easy to happen.
Yeah, you know.
Especially when there are cat and goat videos.
Chicken videos.
Chicken videos. How do you know if you should follow a person back? That's a really good question. My answer to that is you want to vet them. You want to check them out, see who they are and why they are. And if you're looking at somebody and you say, this looks like a pretty good person, so I want to follow them back, and you still have that question in your mind, just write them and say, why are you following? Or, why do you want to connect with them? You should be nice about it. But I get strange people trying to follow me all the time, and I either just ignore them or turn them off and delete them.
Birds of a feather.
Yeah. Or I ask them a question, especially on LinkedIn, because a lot of times your competitors will want to follow you on LinkedIn because they want to have access to who your clients are. But by connecting to you, now they have a second tier connection to them. So you just want to vet them. A lot of times I don't follow people, especially if I'm doing work for somebody and they're local. If they're in Ukraine or England, they're probably not going to be very useful to the client. If they look like they're very engaging, I may still follow them because they add to the numbers overall, and you never know who's connected to who. But if it's in Chinese and I can't read it, I usually don't follow them.
I agree. Check them out on Twitter. You can very easily click on their username and see what kind of posts they have. You don't want to follow people who are inappropriate or not like you. But I think for the most part, you can follow and like most. Make sure you follow if they are your peers or in your industry. I would definitely follow them if they follow you.
And also go back and scan through the people like once a month with these. You could follow somebody and you looked at what they were saying and everything was appropriate, and then 4 posts before that it was pornographic or something. Okay, so you still need to go back and double check this. I know that happened to the governor.
Well, he wasn't managing his no, he had an auto follow. Don't set that up. Make sure that you are actually physically following them yourself.
Number 9, when should you follow back someone who's followed you? It's sort of the same thing. I mean, I try and follow people back quickly on a daily basis if at all possible. Because if you go too long, they may drop you after they follow you because they think you weren't following back. So that's particularly important to Twitter, because Twitter is a follow first type of community, if you will. That's how you engage people in a lot of ways. Facebook, not so much. You have to go through a few more groups. Number 10, how do I find good content to post on my social nets? Anybody got a quick idea how you find good content?
Create your own. Pull from your website. You have information on it. Start a blog and pull from that.
In my opinion, the best content you can provide is authoritative content that you write. But there's lots of places you can find. I mean, We have a world that anything you want to look up can be instantaneously looked up. You can type in articles on, you name the subject, and you'll get 1,000 articles on that subject. So then your chore is to pick out the good ones, the quality ones, and post those if you will. But you can find a tremendous amount of information very quickly. If you want to automate it somewhat, you can use Google Alerts and type in anytime there's an article about do-it-yourself or Bob Vila or whatever you want, it puts it in a little folder for you, and now you can just go and use that as you need it. So that's a simple way to do it. I scour specific blogs and e-zines or e-magazines on a regular basis. I read Mashable pretty much every day. There's lots of different things. So they're specific to your industry. You just get used to them. You can RSS feed them, which means you just connect to them, and every time they release something, it sends it to you. But you can automate that process in a fairly simple way, and then you don't have to struggle to go find content. I never have to struggle to find content. It all comes to me. And Google Alerts is the simplest way to do that.
That's great. I love your comment on Bob Vila. If there are industry experts in your industry and you follow them and contribute to them, that gets you attention. And they've got tens of thousands, 50,000, 100,000 fans. It's a great way of tapping someone else's success, is to look at those big book authors that are famous in your industry.
And
you can use Amazon to achieve that too, sorry.
And that goes back to when we were talking about who should we follow and stuff. If you follow industry leaders or industry influencers, what you do is follow them, but more important, you follow their followers. Because if you are like them, their followers will start to follow you if you're producing quality content for them. So it's an easy way of piggybacking on somebody's coattails. But the caveat is you still have to produce quality stuff. If you're not putting out quality stuff, they're not going to follow. They're going to still follow them.
And you just don't want to pull stuff from other people. You want to definitely try to create your own content. You can create how-to videos, product demonstrations, frequently asked questions, should have asked questions, blog posts. Definitely don't only want to share information from other people. You want to be a leader. You want to be the one providing information too.
And if you have trouble trying to figure out what to talk about, during the day, you have this little device. This is like a magical device that you can use to record events that happen. So you're going through your day, and somebody asks you a question, and you do, that's a blog post. That's a post to your social events. Every time that there's a problem, your answer is that curated or authoritative post. And you just have to get used to walking around with it. In the old days, you carry little notebooks and you write things in. Here's a new notebook. Okay?
Sonia, last month you had mentioned a third, and a third content strategy. Could you share that with the group?
Sure. A third of your content, things that you are posting, that's your voice. And then a third of sharing information from other people in your industry, but taking their information and then reframing it into your own words, but giving them credit and linking to that source. And then a third, sort of light stuff, maybe like a question or a poll or a picture, or something that's not so heavy or so into
Kittens. Kittens.
Kittens. Kittens and goats.
And again, that depends on your industry and your clientele too. So if you have, if you're a financial advisor and most of your clients are big heavy hitters, the kitten thing might not work that well.
Oh, okay.
And now if your clients are all female, it would absolutely be perfect because again, you're touching them on an emotional level. Guys, not so much. And that's not usually how you connect with them. You can connect with them with sports or some other thing.
Yeah, or it doesn't have to be something that's light. It could be something that's maybe more inspirational. You know, if you have a financial a business, maybe something that, you know, a quote that's inspirational, just something that's not so...
If they're religious, there's lots of quotes. How many quotes have you come up with there? So you just have to know your clients, and the best way to know your clients is to ask them and to measure what they're doing.
A post that I did once, it was National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, and I know I shared this last time, but I shared a recipe for chocolate chip cookies with a great picture from Better Homes and Gardens Facebook page onto my Facebook page and said, Happy National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. And that thing, I mean, everybody was talking about chocolate chip cookies on my Facebook page. It was crazy. It has nothing to do with flooring, but it got a lot of engagement, and that was the light. Plus, it was useful because there was a recipe.
too.
And yeah, I got it covered.
You're allowed to take pictures from someone else's Facebook and post them on your own. Is that legal?
If you share them, you can share, you know, the little share arrow, you can share, yeah.
You have to, there's some copyright things that are gray. So if you're yanking pictures off of Google Images,
Don't do that.
you need to be very careful. And if you ever do it, I mean, for example, if you get them on Wikipedia, you can say first Wikipedia, they have their own captions, and they don't normally let you do that. But companies don't. I have read a lot on this, and as long as you're giving them full credit and direct backlinks to wherever the picture is and all that kind of stuff, you usually have what they call safe use, but you still need to be very careful. If you yank it out, stick it in a book or something, well, you'll be in trouble.
But when you're sharing or retweeting, you're linking back to that original post.
Yeah, the linking back is extremely important. You're giving accreditation. If you're not linking back, you're skating the law and you're coming out of that gray area into the red area.
Definitely do not put them on your websites or your blogs. I had a client that saved $12 in photo purchasing and got sued for $4,000, $2 grand a whack and lost. And there's teams of lawyers looking for this. You want to be legal with your photos, very legal with your photos.
And that's actually on the low range.
Yeah.
One client who was, what, like 10,000, 100,000? I mean, it was
Holy
like
cow.
10,000, 10,000, yeah, for one photo.
Now we're entering the new territory.
New territory, so we're at number 11. Okay, I'm back in the game, folks. How do you handle negative comments or posts on your social networks?
Respond back, sorry. Respond back. Do not ignore them. Ignoring them is the worst thing, and deleting them is the worst thing. You'll just make that person really mad, and they'll come back even harder. They'll tell their friends, and then they'll have their friends post on your site or your Facebook page. Definitely respond. Don't respond with the helpful, you know, try to bring it offline. You know, say, hey, can you please send me an email address, or call us at this number, or send us an email if you don't have your phone number on there. And then try and take it offline to address their concerns. And then after the fact, go back and follow up and say, you know, I hope that we handled the situation and fixed your problem, or fixed the issue. Definitely don't delete it.
Try and turn that negative into a positive. I mean, it's a lot cheaper to handle the problem, make them happy, and turn them into a happy customer where they're gonna now say how you took care of them, than to try and fight them on a small issue.
That's a wonderful tip to take them offline. Don't show the battle to the world.
You wanna, what I usually say is, here's my private number, call me right now. And I get the phone. I mean, they're gonna be calling a specific number that we use to handle it, but I wanna take it offline immediately, handle the issue, and then ask them to talk about it publicly. That's right, because I want to turn it into a testimonial, even though it started out as a negative. But the only way you can do that is if you really try to take care of them, even though if you think they were in the wrong. I'll give you an example. I bought something on eBay the other day. I get it home. It's a hitting net, so I'm hitting in the backyard. Within 5 balls, I'll put 2 balls through the net. Now, the ball shouldn't go through the net no matter what. It's a hitting cage. It's supposed to stop the ball. I write the person back, I didn't do it publicly, I wrote them privately, and I said, listen, I hit 15 balls and 2 of them went through the net. The guy says, well, it's probably defective, we'll just give you a refund. I said, okay, so how do I send it back? And he said, no, just dispose it. So I went back and posted how nice it was. Okay, that's what you want to happen. You want them to, you want to take care of them immediately, no grudging around, and then you can turn it into a positive.
But if it's a obscene or a violent comment, just delete it. Don't leave that in there, obviously.
Yeah, there are some issues with Facebook, especially where people can do reviews. Sometimes they can do them even anonymously, it seems like, and they're hard to yank off. So you want to make sure that if somebody puts something on there, you need to be able to deal with it right away.
I published the Clay Today newspaper, and we have a Facebook page. We had, during the last election cycle, we had several people that on politics get hot and bothered on. And I had probably 10 negative posts aimed at me as a publisher of the paper, and I did not respond to any of them. But I called 2 or 3 of them, and I asked them if they wanted to talk face to face, man to man. And 2 of them wanted to, and 1 of them didn't want to talk. So, but I think airing your dirty laundry on Facebook sometimes can be a little awkward, and if you let your emotions get away from you, you can look like an ass.
Great
And so
point.
I chose to let them look like the ass instead of letting myself and my business look like that. So I think you want to take ownership of that.
Yeah, I had a situation last year. I had one negative review in 15 years, and it was very unreasonable. Posted on the Better Business Bureau site. I responded immediately, went back and forth a couple times. Lo and behold, the client is still a client of ours, and he still wants to use our service, and it's like, you dirty rat. But that happens. You got to get back from fast and don't look like you're fighting. Good. Okay. All right. Can you make too many social posts in a given day?
The answer, I think, is yes. There are certain kinds of posts that I tell people never to do. Like too much information posts. You know what I'm talking about? People just say TMI stuff that doesn't need to be on there. I also tell people don't put sales pitches of any kind. Don't try and sell in social media. Nobody ever joins any social network to be sold to. They join to connect, to get information, to find useful stuff, to get with their friends or family, but they never join to be sold to. Now, that's evolving into something new, because all of these networks are now trying to monetize this big, huge database of people that they have. And you'll see Facebook selling ads now, and all that kind of stuff. Twitter's doing it. LinkedIn's been doing it for quite a while. But nobody ever joined for that mechanism. As a matter of fact, the biggest complaints that you see on Facebook is it's changing into this selling machine.
Yeah, if you post too much, you'll start losing people. You don't want to, their pages don't want, they don't want to be inundated with all these posts from you. Like what you said, it's more of a group and people don't want to be close to. Rule of thumb is, I know I said this earlier, no more than 4 posts on Facebook a day, 12 to 14 on Twitter, and then 1 on Google Plus and 1 on LinkedIn per day. Those are usually a good rule of thumb.
A good resource is a book by Gary Vaynerchuk, Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's a great book. What he's talking about not being pitchy, it's jab, 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 right hook. Give, ask. So you're giving. Oh, by the way, I sell flooring. Oh, by the way, check out your carpet. But I'm giving how to get that spot out. I'm giving, here's my cookie recipe. I'm giving, here's whatever, And then, oh, by the way, would you like to buy it? But then I still don't do selling things. I don't take pictures of pallets of
It's a
tiles
self-sell.
and say, I'm good. Tiles for 99 cents square foot. Can you do that? I don't do that. So, Gary Vaynerchuk, great book. And in that book, he goes through each social platform, gives great screenshot pictures of what great posts look like and where they kind of miss the mark with the post. So you learn a lot. So if you're interested in that.
I know we got a lot of Facebook people in here, but Google Plus is certainly a platform that should not be ignored. Beth, share with me the group, the story you told me yesterday about the views on your Google Plus.
Oh, I don't use Google Plus that much, but after I talked to Mark, I started rethinking it because and then after I talked to you, I heard a tip about Google Plus. If you use Google Plus, Google is going to rank you higher than they would whatever you did on Facebook. And y'all can tell me if that's
Absolutely
accurate,
true.
because it's their
It's their own
product.
property,
It's their own- yeah. So I really need to start using Google Plus more. I have a personal Google Plus, and then I have a Carpentry Google Plus. My Google Plus for Carpentry has had more views on it than my website. Now, I don't do a lot myself to drive traffic to my website because, and I could learn from you all to maybe improve that. You can't go to my website and make a purchase. You can just go there and get information about the products that I curate and educational information about different types of flooring. You couldn't actually go and buy. And maybe that's something that I've done where I've kind of hesitated and pushing it out there. You can find it. But anyway, but it was really interesting that I've had more views on my Google Plus page than I have had on my website. And even my personal Google Plus, I've had almost 45,000 views on my personal. So I really need to start.
Here's something about Google Plus that most people don't know. A couple of years ago, Google integrated a lot of their other properties like Google Maps and Google Locals into Google Plus. They even have direct links into YouTube and all those other kinds of things. The reason they did that is because they wanted to drive more traffic to get become a competitive product against Facebook. That never really materialized, but that's irrelevant. They have 350,000 active users on Google+. Now, a year ago, people were saying Google Plus is a ghost town, nobody's in it, nobody's doing anything. I wrote an article called "The Ghost Says Boom," because here's the deal. If you're in Google Plus and people are actually reviewing you in Google Local, which is part of Google Plus, those likes in there produce these big red stars on your search linking. So if you got like 25 people saying you're wonderful, you're going to have 4 or 5 stars next to your name when you show up in search. Now, what's that going to do? When somebody's looking down that list, where are they going to jump to? The one with the stars. And that's been shown in study after study after study. So if you're using Google Plus actively and generating these testimonials and so on, that's going to give you a big ranking factor in Google search, which is the #1 place in internet users.
Great tip, thank you. Question?
If someone sees the need for social media and Facebook, but has no interest in or talent to be able to participate in themselves, how successful would your Facebook page be if you contracted it out? To
Well,
someone
it'd be a
who's
lot more
not necessarily in
successful.
your industry?
It's usually going to be a lot more successful than if you're not really into doing it, or you feel like you don't have the time to do it. Social media professionals are usually pretty good at getting you followings and engaging you, is if they take the time to understand your industry and what you're trying to do. So when we start out, we actually have a 4-page questionnaire, and I'm trying to ghostwrite, if I will, for you. So I'm going to follow your personality and all those kinds of things at all possible, and then try and translate that onto the social media page. Usually it takes me about 2 or 3 months to really figure out what the client really needs. Would you say
Yeah,
the same
yeah,
thing?
maybe, yeah, around in there. That's what I do. That's my job. I manage social media for several clients, and there is a learning curve to learning about your business or the client's business. But yeah, it's successful.
Because professionals are measuring. They're not just going by what we think. We're trying to ghostwrite for somebody else. We're trying to be them when we're not them. And how do you do that? Well, what's your favorite magazine? What's your favorite, you go out and find out all this stuff about them. And then you find out about their industry, and then you experiment. And that experimentation produces, the final result that you end up getting.
Content.
TJ, you bring up a really good point, because it was stated last month's meeting, if you just create the accounts and never do anything with it, you should not even create the accounts. You've got to jump in with both feet.
But you can start small if you want to do it yourself. Just start with 1 post per day.
From a personal standpoint, it's the discipline. I'll have discipline for 1 or 2 days, and then it may be a month, 6 weeks before I get the discipline again to do another 2 days.
Well, there are tools out there.
It's just not working out.
Well, there are a lot of tools out there to help with that, though, so you don't have to sit there and do it every day. There's a site called Hootsuite, where you can go in and you can link it to your Facebook and different social media platforms, and you can actually sit down and schedule. Come see me afterwards. Come grab a
That's
card.
way above my pay grade.
Come see me afterwards.
It allows you to timestamp your post. So if you do it every Monday, you drink your coffee and you put in your post, and you can say this one goes out Monday, this one goes out Tuesday, this one goes out Wednesday, and then you can ignore it for the rest of the week. If you want to do it every once in a while, it's the beginning of the month, you spend a couple of days doing all your posts, and then you ignore it for the rest of the month. You can do it that way. And I know a lot of people that's the way they handle their social media.
I do training as well, so I can sit down with you one-on-one and show you how to do all this stuff.
Have you met TJ? We go way back. I said that. Yes, ma'am.
Can I just ask a quick question? I've kind of heard that Facebook might be on this downward swing. Can you guys tell me the truth on that, or is there something else coming around, or?
I don't know that anybody can read the future. There's several articles right now that are out that are saying that Google Plus is going to go away.
Go away?
They're saying it's going to go away. I'm pretty sure that's a lie. Because if I had 350,000 active users, I wouldn't be going away with that no matter matter what.
Don't you mean million?
350 million, excuse me, 350 million followers. But again, that's too valuable of a property to go away. Facebook has 1.4 billion people on it, or maybe a few hundred million cats. But it really doesn't matter. That's too valuable of a property. And even if it goes up and down, they all go up and down. Google Search lost 20% of its market share in the last 4 months. Guess what? They're going to do something to try and get that market share back. So there's ebbs and flows and all this kind of stuff. Nobody can predict the future. That's just what it is.
All you MySpace users, raise your hand.
And guess what? MySpace is coming back.
It's even real Tom.
Yeah, that's Thomas. From MySpace.
I'm the
Oh,
one.
yes, right, right.
I'm the one user. I have my high school rock band.
You still have that number?
I still have it. One of the first.
I think the demographics of Facebook are changing. They're saying that the younger generations are moving to other things, but
Instagram.
Instagram and-
We had a high school part of the
Which is
chamber,
owned by Facebook.
battling.
Right.
All the high school kids were like, yeah, we really just use Instagram. Facebook's like my mom's on there, my grandma's.
Yeah, right.
Instagram.
You didn't know Facebook owns Instagram.
That's what I'm saying, but they I don't know, I guess, whatever the newest thing is.
You're not cool if you're on Facebook anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's kind
There
of.
are more brands on Instagram too, McDonald's.
Think of it this way. These are huge corporations that have vast amounts of money. Microsoft owns more banks than there are banks in Jacksonville. Most people don't know that. Facebook owns lots of properties. Google owns lots of properties. All these different companies, they're really busy taking their cash, which they are very cash rich, and buying up these other things. Facebook just paid $23 billion for WhatsApp. Something you never heard of, right? Okay? And that's a chatting program that's used worldwide. But they just dropped, $23 billion is a chunk of change. So these guys are out there, they're not going to go away no matter. The landscape will change radically over time, but they're not going anywhere, because when they got hundreds of billions of dollars, they're just not going anywhere.
I guess my biggest question is which one you should concentrate more on. I mean, if we're looking at, I'm in the wedding business, we're looking at selling brides. Well, if they're using Instagram and we're on Facebook all the time, it doesn't make any sense to be spending all this time on Facebook.
The best thing
That's
is
kind of where I'm at,
to
asking
be
this
involved in
question.
all of them until you can figure out where your audience is the most. Instagram, I think, would be great for you. Pinterest.
Pinterest.
Oh, yeah, and we're trying to do that.
YouTube is good if you have videos.
YouTube would be good. Picasa is owned by Google, which is Pinterest. It's Google's version of Pinterest. Most people don't think of it that way, but it's part of Google Plus. They give you Google Juice on the back end. But like she said, experiment on a lot of them. And also, if you like one, you're probably going to be more successful in the one you like, because you're going to spend the time on it.
And don't forget that picture you've got on Facebook can go to Pinterest and go to Instagram. So
And if
you
you
can
have it
spread
on your
that quickly.
website, if you have it on your website, you link from your website, then everybody goes back to your website where they can find your information and contact you and hire you.
I wanted to add something to that. I follow a lot of internet marketers. So here's the thing. Facebook has the biggest list on the planet. So you get what I'm saying about list. Everybody? And the people, okay, the teenagers go to Instagram, that's okay, because we want mom and dad to set up. Okay? But they have the biggest list on the planet. So the idea would be tap into their list. So maybe you do some Facebook ads or whatever. But then you want to get those people, when you sign up for Facebook, what do they tell you to use? Your best email address. How many people have more than one email account that you can manage with this? Unlike some people, but anyway. So you're going to use your best email, right? So that means you're going to check that email. And so what you want to do, you get those people, you get them in your list, you get them, when I say take them off of Facebook, they're still on Facebook, but you've got them now in your email list. So if Facebook goes away, you've still collected their email, you can still get in touch with them, and you can move them to another, you can email them and say, hey, join me on Pinterest. You can take them to another platform. It doesn't matter what Facebook does, you've already collected their information. You see what I'm saying?
And an easy way to get that information, you can put together the top 10 things that wedding photographers hate to be asked. and put together just a beautiful report that you create for your mom, right? Something that's just so content rich that they just gotta have their hands on it, but they gotta give up their email address to get that. And you start building people around that, and that applies to every industry in this room. Really give out something really quality, and then you can hit them with an email, and keep going at them in a very polite and professional manner. But now they're on your list, that's what Beth's talking
Yeah,
about.
get 'em on your list.
But you gotta give something quality. If you give something shoddy, then they're gonna think you're shoddy, right? If it's really quality and really deep, John, real estate tips in Jacksonville, any of that. How to write effective ads for Play Today, any of that. Really put together quality, and you can get a tribe.
Along those same lines, most people don't think of YouTube as a social network. If you look at it, the way it's set up, it's just like Facebook. It has a timeline, you can like and leave comments and all that kind of stuff. So is Blogger, which is a blogging platform. You can leave comments and all that kind of stuff. But what I really like about Blogger, when you write your article, which could actually, if you write enough of these articles, they're the seed for your book that he's talking about. And that's
Right,
exactly what we
right.
do. We write all these articles, they become ebooks, they become bookbooks. And then they become courses, right? So by doing this actively, you have this mechanism that you now have really quality content that you can use as a lure to build your list. And it's really a powerful mechanism if you use all these together. So at the end of our blog, you see you can check off a box on the button, and it'll allow you to do the post on Facebook, allow you to do the post on Pinterest, Google Plus, and Twitter, because you're there. So when they read our blog, a lot of times they'll leave a comment, and they can just check off those things and now share it instantly to their other people. It's really easy to put that form in there and say, get our free ebook. You just read my great article and you like it, get my free ebook, and now you're building your list. We get about 3 or 4, anywhere from 1 to 4 every day on ours. And that's a great way to do it. You can also do it on Facebook. A little more awkward, you gotta build a little form in there and that kind of stuff. And you could do it on Google Plus. But the blog is a real powerful mechanism, because now they just read a piece of content that was high quality, they really liked it, and now you've already got the trust factor going. The likelihood of taking that next step and coughing up their name and phone number and email address is much higher, because you've built that credibility. Whereas if you're doing it on Facebook, there's only a little verb or a tweet or whatever it was that you stuck in there, and the credibility may or may not be there.
We're getting down to about 10 minutes to go. This is a great question here. How do you test and measure your results in social media? I'm going to hand that one to Sonia first.
Well, we've kind of already talked about that a little bit through Facebook. They have the insight, and Twitter has a good analytics. Just click on it, and it'll tell you what posts are performing the best, what time your users are on, their their age, their demographic, and then you go for that.
All of the main social media sites have built-in analytics. LinkedIn has it on their business pages and so on. But you can also take Google Analytics and plug them into your social media. You can get more in-depth type of analytics. So if you really want to figure out what are turning clicks into cash and all that kind of stuff, you can go another step beyond those. For most people, the built-in analytics is really nice. One of the things I like about Blogger is you don't have to know anything about analytics. You just click stats and it gives you the stats. You can click month, day, week. You don't have to know anything. It's there. It tells you which blog post gets the most reads, all this kind of thing. The day, week, month, all time. Simple analytics that really can give you a lot of information. You could look at the timeline of the day, the bumps go up and down and all that kind of stuff.
Google Analytics is great because you can actually see where all of your users are coming from.
So-
Whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or organic search, paid search.
And again, if you use URL shorteners in your post, everybody know what a URL shortener is? And so you have this big long URL address and you plug it into this device like Bitly or Google. What it does, it takes this big long address and shortens it down to about 12 characters, which means it can fit in the post, because there are limits to how much you can type in any social media post. 140 characters for Twitter, I think it's 400 for Facebook, and so on. So it saves a lot of space, and people don't like to see this big long line of digits. They don't know what the heck that means. So by shortening these posts, you can now track in Google Analytics the type of shortener you're using. So if you're using Hootsuite, their shortener is called Owls, and that would show up in Google Analytics. If you're using Twitter, it would be TC and so on. So you would see these shorteners show up in your analytics, and then you know where the referring URL was, where they came from. It came from Twitter, it came from Google Plus and so on. And those are very important things that you want to be able to track, because you want to know how they're finding you.
Great.
We haven't really talked about tools.
Yeah, bring that up, because that's a great
I think
one.
we should really talk